Billie Eilish and Finneas.
Every now and then, someone writes a song and it becomes an instant classic. Critics like it, musicians like it, and the public likes it. It's a song that sounds fresh and original, yet also sounds timeless, like it could have been written in any era. It feels deeply personal, yet manages to appeal to a huge number of listeners. And above all, it's simply a beautiful song. All of this is true of What Was I Made For, the Oscar-winning song written by Billie Eilish and her producer Finneas. In this video, I'll explore the different elements that make this song exceptional. I'll start by looking at the harmony and the melody, then have a look at the lyrics, vocals, arrangement, and production. So let's begin. In pop music, harmony refers to the framework of chords that a song is built on. What's unusual about this song is the use of chord 3, otherwise known as the mediant chord or mediant triad. The mediant chord is not super common in pop music, and there's a good reason for that. It has a very distinctive sound to it. If I had to describe it in one word, I would say melancholic. When the mediant chord follows or alternates with the tonic chord in a major key, and the tempo is slow, it can create a feeling of longing, introspection, nostalgia, and often sadness. It's a very intense and emotive chord, and it has to be used carefully. Use it too much, and your pop music will no longer sound like pop music. Here are a few examples of the mediant chord as used in various pop songs that have a slow or moderate tempo. I've transposed them all into C major so that you can better hear the effect of this chord. And here are a few examples from classical music. Don't worry, these ones are in their original key. I think you can see the effect that I'm talking about. These musical examples are deeply meditative and contemplative, infused with a feeling of wistfulness or melancholy. So that's a little about the mediant chord. However, there's a bit more to this story because if you listen carefully to the piano part, there's actually a note missing. Can you hear a G in this E minor chord? I can't, because there isn't one. What we have is just the root note and the fifth of the chord, the E and the B. What we're left with is the outline or shell of a mediant triad chord. It's literally a hollow chord, and it actually sounds empty and hollow, which is perfect because that's exactly what this song is about, the feeling of something being incomplete or missing. Now, I don't know if Finneas stumbled upon this chord by accident and it just felt right, or if he deliberately chose it, but either way, it's the perfect chord for this song and it adds another layer of meaning. Now, later on in the song, you do hear the complete E minor chord, but in the beginning, when we have just this vocal part and piano together, this incomplete mediant triad chord creates a really interesting and subtle effect. The next element of this song that we're going to look at is the melodic line, and in particular, the large number of suspensions. So what is a suspension? Well, a suspension happens when one note of a chord resolves to where it should be after the other notes of the chord have already moved into position. The wrong note, so to speak, is played before the beat or on the beat, and then resolves to the correct note, usually in a downwards direction. Here's an example. This is a C chord with a suspended fourth, which then resolves downwards to the third of the chord. Suspensions create a feeling of tension and resolution, particularly when they are used in the melodic line. They are often associated with the feeling of yearning. Some of the saddest pieces ever written rely heavily on suspensions. Take the song Yesterday, for example. If you want an orchestral example, there's the heartbreaking Adagietto from Mahler's Fifth Symphony. So if we look now at the verse of What Was I Made For, we notice that every single phrase has some kind of suspension. Now, let's remove all of the suspended notes from the melody and see what that sounds like. Pretty boring, right? Now let's talk about the lyrics. As is the case with many great songs, there is a double meaning to these lyrics. On the one hand, they can be interpreted as the words of a plastic toy that has been manufactured and sold for consumption. On the other hand, these lyrics clearly speak to the human condition, posing questions that most people have asked themselves at some point in time. We know from interviews that these words are very personal to Billie, yet they resonate with millions of listeners.
I mean, you've had many hits, but this song connected with fans in a different way.
Yes, and I also felt like it was like bringing like people together. It felt like we were all experiencing life experience, you know?
Yeah.
Experiencing experience.
I haven't heard a song like that in so long.
What I find particularly impressive is that Billie manages to do so much with so little. With just a handful of words, she manages to sing about some very complex themes, and she does it in such a way that she sounds both unsure and insightful. There's no impressive vocabulary on display, just very simple words, very short and simple sentences, but it's enough for her to perfectly tell her story. What I think I like best about these lyrics is that while they are quite sad and introspective to begin with, they don't stay that way. The last verse is optimistic and forward-looking. Think I forgot how to be happy, something I'm not, but something I can be, something I wait for, something I'm made for. The subtle shift in the last verse from what was I made for to something I'm made for changes the perspective of the whole song. Now it's time to discuss Billie's vocals, which are one of the most amazing parts of this song. The first thing you notice is that her voice sounds quite unlike any of her other songs. She's singing in falsetto, using her voice in a unique way to create a very breathy and ethereal sound. Billie mentions in interviews that this was a particularly difficult song to sing, and that it took her quite a bit of trial and error to find a sound that she liked. In particular, she found doing vocal runs in falsetto and singing all of the backing vocals in sync with each other to be quite difficult.
Okay.
Nice, dude.
I think I'm good.
I, for one, am really glad that she took the time to perfect everything, because the result is something special. I think it's instructive to have a listen to Billie's vocals isolated from the other instruments in the mix.
I used to float, now I just fall down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now.
She's obviously producing a very beautiful sound, but if you really listen carefully, you can hear a huge amount of detail in how she's using her voice. She's sliding between notes, sliding up to notes, letting notes trail off, bending the rhythm very slightly, shortening some notes and lengthening others, and using vibrato in a masterful way.
Taking a drive, I was an ideal, looked so alive. Turns out I'm not real, just something you paid for.
And it's easy to forget that the sounds of her breathing and sighing also add a lot of emotion to the song.
'Cause I don't know how to feel, but I wanna try.
The brilliancy of these vocals is that they perfectly match what the song is about. When Billie begins by singing "I used to float," her voice is literally floating above the piano part. When she sings "I used to know, but I'm not sure now," her voice literally sounds fragile and unsure of itself. To my ear, the only part of the song where she does sound confident is when she's singing "I don't know how to feel." In other words, the only thing she is sure of is that she isn't sure how to feel or what to do. In my experience as a composer and songwriter, sometimes you just have to let a song write itself. You modify what you're doing to what the song wants. And what Billie has done here with her vocals is a perfect example of that. We've talked about the different building blocks of songwriting: the harmony, the melody, the lyrics, the vocals. The final element is the arrangement, where all of these building blocks are combined together with a number of other instruments and effects, and then assembled into one cohesive whole. An excellent arrangement can take a good song and elevate it into an exceptional piece of music. And that's precisely what we see here, thanks to the producer Finneas, who is a master of instrumentation, musical arrangement, and production. In Finneas' own words, his approach to production is like balancing a scale. He uses many different instruments to fill in space and uses them very quietly in the background to create subtle effects, like a painter layering many different shades on top of each other. What's fascinating in this song is the sheer number of different sounds and effects that he uses. It's much more than you would expect. Apart from Billie's vocals and the piano part, at various times in this song, you can hear bass guitar, strings, horns, mellotron, vibraphone, harp, shimmering synthesizer pads, and an arpeggiated organ. Many of these instruments are mixed into the background and can't really be heard consciously, but create an effect that you can feel. By carefully placing these instruments in balance with each other over a wide frequency range, Finneas is able to produce a sound that is expansive and grandiose without being heavy or dense. Finneas' approach to production reminds me of the great composers and orchestrators of the early 20th century, who were adept at combining sounds and colours from different instruments of the orchestra in new ways. Let's take a closer look at the second chorus, where the arrangement starts to fill out and more instruments are added.
How to feel, but I wanna try.
can hear vocals, backing vocals, bass guitar, strings, horns, synthesizer, and over the top, an arpeggiated organ. This sounds to me like an orchestra, not a conventional pop song. In fact, this combination of instruments, and in particular the shimmering high register, reminds me of the ending of Saturn from The Planets by Gustav Holst. Another orchestral example that comes to mind is the ending of Fauré's Requiem, where you have a choir, organ, harp, and strings. Something else I really like about this production is that it's not overproduced. He could have kept tweaking things and moving notes around, but it's just messy enough. The arrangement sounds cohesive and intricate and logical, but there is still an improvisational quality to this, and I like that. So there you have it. What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish and Finneas is a masterful blend of harmony and melody, thought-provoking lyrics, and meticulous production. This song is a testament to the power of simplicity and emotional honesty in music, and stands as a modern classic that I'm sure will be loved and listened to for years to come. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like it and subscribe if you did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.